A while back, I made a video explaining why Super Saiyan 4 is better than Super Saiyan God. In that video, I said, Saiyan tales get phased out altogether, and no more Saiyan characters are born with them. However, that's a topic for another video. Well, here's that other video. Hey, what's up? This is Garda Trace, and here I am with another video to prove that I'm not about to go on another Hunter x Hunter hiatus. If you've been watching me since 2017, or if you've gone back to look at my old videos, you may have seen that I've done a video on this subject before. It's one of the worst videos on my channel, and ever since making that video I've wanted to redo it, and now's as good a time as any to give it another go. In that old video, I used a Salva Makoto artwork as the thumbnail, and now I'm doing it again. I really like his artwork. Look at his concept of a Super Saiyan God before the official one was revealed. Looks awesome, doesn't it? It's much better than this bullshit. Anyway, this will be the first time I've made a Kai version of a discussion. My everything wrong with videos have long been getting that treatment, so let's answer the question. What happened to Saiyan Tales? Son Goku is based on the character of the same name in Journey to the West, who is named Sun Wukong in Chinese. His tail, the Nyoibo, as well as Kinton were all references to his Journey to the West namesake. However, in universe, there wasn't any explanation on why he had a tail at first. He was considered an oddity for having one, and let me remind you that this is a world full of talking animals and anthropomorphic animals, and Goku was considered weird. It's assumed that the tail is a prop until he displays that it's real. However, it turns out that yanking the tail is his weakness, as it saps his strength. Later, in the Hunt for the Dragon Balls arc, it is revealed that Goku can transform into a giant monkey, later called an Uzaru, by looking at the full moon. By cutting off the tail, Goku reverts back to normal, so the source of his transformation is in the tail. During the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai arc, after going 8 months without it, as he and Kuririn trained under the Muten Roshi, during his match with Giran, his tail grew back. During his finals match with Jackie Chun, as he was caught within the Bankoku Bikari Sho, there just so happens to be a full moon, and Goku transforms into an Uzaru again. However, Jackie Chun launches a max power Kamehameha and destroys the moon, thus eliminating any chance Goku has to transform again. As a matter of fact, this marks the last time we ever see Goku transform into an Uzaru, and we're only 2 arcs into the series at this point. The 2 things required to maintain an Uzaru transformation are a full moon and a tail. After cutting it before, Toriyama decided to give Goku back his tail because it's a signature part of his look. But this does pose a problem. Since Goku becomes very independent and travels the world by this point, that means there would be nothing to stop him from looking at full moons all the time and fulfilling his purpose, which we'll learn about much later. So something had to go, but since his tail was considered too important, that means the moon had to go instead. And since this is a lighthearted gag series, they apparently don't have to worry about the tides causing a flood due to the moon's absence. During the tail end of the Red Ribbon Army arc, the Uranai Baba tournament takes place, and a lot of crazy things happen. There's a Jesus Christ reference, although Christianity doesn't exist in the Dragon Ball universe. Kuririn has a brief stint with vampirism. They fight on the tongues of demon statues on toilets. We see Bluma's titties again. And Goku fights his long-lost grandpa Gohan and loses his tail for the 2nd time as he's constantly slammed by Gohan yanking it. But losing his tail this time proved to be a blessing in disguise, as the Pilaf gang learned of Goku's weakness and tried to take advantage of it, but since the tail is gone, that's no longer an option, and Goku retrieves the Dragon Ball from them. It grows back sometime before the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai arc, and he continues to have it throughout the Piccolo Daimao arc. However, that marks the last time we see Goku with a tail ever again. By the time of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai arc, where Goku grows into an adult, the tail is gone as God permanently removed it and restored the moon. We never at any point in the series see an adult Goku with a tail. During an interview in the Dragon Ball 30-year anniversary Super History book, Toriyama was asked why he got rid of the tail. The interviewer asked, "Did the tail get in the way of the fighting?" Toriyama replied, "No, it's just that I'm always thinking about how things are supposed to work, so it was a real pain to figure out how he put his pants on or stuff like that. That's what always bugged me the most. Is there a hole in the pants? Does he put his tail through first, then put the pants on?" So that made me want to get rid of the darn thing, which I did in the end. So, Toriyama got rid of tails because he couldn't figure out how pants would work with them. Wow. That's gotta be the most bullshit explanation I've ever heard. Yes, there's a hole in the pants, and putting the tail through it would be as simple as getting your legs in the pants. Hell, in Jumanji, Peter turned into a monkey boy for cheating in the game, and he grew a tail, which Alan tore a hole in the pants to accommodate. It ain't rocket science, it's a tail for fuck's sake. But even though Goku was stripped of his signature tail, him ever having it at all definitely makes him the odd man out, as he's the only character we see with a tail and capable of transforming into a giant monkey since the first arc. And it wouldn't be until the 7th arc of the series where an in-universe explanation is given on why. In the Saiyan arc, we are introduced to Goku's son, Gohan. We see that Gohan has a tail like his father used to have, so there's no doubt he's Goku's son, which means that Goku, the guy who couldn't tell the difference of genders without patting someone on the crotch, had sex, much to everyone's surprise, even the audience. Then we are also introduced to Goku's older brother Raditz, who shows he too has a tail. By this point, the reference to Sun Wukong from Journey to the West has been retconned into traits of an alien race of humanoids known as Saiyans. As early as the first arc of the series, Oolong wonders if Goku is an alien after seeing him transform into an Uzaru. This isn't foreshadowing, as Toriyama did not make Goku with the intention of him being an alien. This is merely a throwaway line. Dragon Ball is a series Toriyama made up as he went along, and he didn't decide on making Goku an alien until shortly before the Saiyan arc. But this retcon works very well, as it takes Goku's unexplained physical characteristics and uses them to expand the lore of the universe. Now, not everything works about this retcon, as things such as the Saiyan near-death power-up, the reason Goku loves fighting, and why he eats a lot doesn't work in a retroactive sense. There are times he's severely beaten up by the likes of Tao Pai Pai and Piccolo Daimao, but there's no indication he got any power boost after recovering from those beatings. As for why he likes to fight, that is because Goku was trained at an early age by his adoptive grandfather, and they bonded through martial arts. Then Goku traveled the world and trained under other masters to get stronger. As for why he's a big eater, that's because he's a wild child with a big appetite and no table manners. But this retcon comes along, and those traits are changed from being indicative of who Goku is to what Goku is, so his personality is stripped of him. As for the tail, the retcon works because it takes his Journey to the West inspired traits and recontextualizes them to introduce an entire species, give Goku an origin story, and expand the scope of the universe. However, nothing about his Journey to the West inspired traits are contradicted, as they are out-of-universe inspirations for Goku's character. Gohan transforms into an Oozaru for the first time when a bandit to fend for himself in the wilderness and begins rampaging, leading to Piccolo destroying the moon to end it, and he removes Gohan's tail for good measure. Despite the moon's destruction, Vegeta uses a power ball that mimics the effects of a full moon and transforms into an Oozaru in his fight against Goku. After Gohan and Kuririn come to Goku's aid, Yajirobe takes advantage of the distraction to cut off Vegeta's tail. Then Gohan's tail grows back and he transforms due to looking at Vegeta's power ball. Vegeta uses a Kienzan to cut it off, reverting Gohan back to normal, but not before Oozaru Gohan falls on top of Vegeta. And that marks the final time we see Saiyan tails or Oozaru during the original manga. Neither Gohan or Vegeta regrow their tails again, and there is no in-universe explanation given on why. We already know the out-of-universe reason why, but there is nothing in the text itself. When Vegeta's missing tail was commented on by a Frieza soldier, Vegeta says it'll grow back. It never does, but Vegeta seems sure it will, and never brings it up again. Technically, the potential for it growing back is still present in the series to this day, however I doubt it'll actually happen. One thing that remains consistent in the series is the Oozaru suddenly appears, then it disappears as quickly as it came. By the Frieza arc, the focus shifted away from a Saiyan's ability to transform into an Oozaru and towards the legend of the Super Saiyan. It wasn't known that becoming a Super Saiyan meant a physical change in appearance, as Vegeta incorrectly assumes that he and Goku are Super Saiyans by that point, only to be proven wrong. Then, after Goku's rage at Kuririn's second and seemingly permanent death by the hands of Frieza, he snaps and transforms into a Super Saiyan. Upon witnessing it, Frieza remarks that he thought Saiyans only transformed into Oozaru, which marks the last time the Oozaru is mentioned in the series. The Super Saiyan transformation is a huge departure from the simian origins of Saiyans, and has no in-universe explanation for its appearance. The out-of-universe reason is it means Toriyama's assistant won't have to bother with inking Goku's hair, so laziness is the reason. However, it does result in a striking difference in appearance from how Goku normally looks, as he also gets angular, fully outlined eyes like Vegeta's, and his irises are no longer inked as well. So the Oozaru is out, and Super Saiyans are in, and before someone says it, and I know you're thinking it, no. There is nothing that states that a Saiyan must lose their tail to be capable of going Super Saiyan. Not in the text itself, not in any supplemental material, not in any interviews from Toriyama, nothing. The fact that we never see a Super Saiyan with a tail in the original manga is purely a coincidence. Nothing more. There are more Saiyan Earthling hybrids born in the series, but none of them have tails. It was even mentioned that baby Trunks lacks a tail. While not spoken in the text itself, the in-universe reason is because tails are a recessive trait among Saiyan Earthling hybrids, according to an interview with Toriyama in the January 1st, 2003 issue of Shonen Jump magazine. That is why Trunks, Goten, Pan, and Bra do not have tails, which makes Gohan the odd duck out, as he's the only hybrid to have been born with one. But by this point, there were no need for tails. Toriyama long since decided to get rid of them, but the reason Gohan, Raditz, Vegeta, and Nappa had tails is because the concept of Saiyans were just being introduced, so the tails gave them a connection to Goku, but since Saiyans are a well-known concept by the Frieza arc, and tails were phased out by that point, there was nothing to gain with having any more of them with tails, so the recessive trait thing was a hand wave to justify why they didn't have them. And according to the same interview, Toriyama thought tails were unnecessary appendages that just got in the way. So as far as Toriyama is concerned, tails have outlived their usefulness. So he got rid of them like Vegeta got rid of Nappa. But by that logic, why does Frieza have a tail? Frieza fights, so why give him an appendage that only gets in the way? Goku bites his tail, and it gets the tip cut off twice, so it seems very selective to give one race a tail, but take it away from another. This didn't mean tails were gone forever in the series, as they made a comeback in Dragon Ball GT as the old Kaioshin helped Goku, who's a kid again at this point, regrow his tail, as it's needed for Goku to transform into Super Saiyan 4, which marries the concept of an Uzaru and a Super Saiyan. See this video for details. Since Goku is physically a kid when he gets his tail back, that means that outside of the Super Saiyan 4 transformation, which turns Goku into an adult, we never see an adult Goku with a tail. But the tail makes a glorious comeback in GT in order to create a Super Saiyan form that calls back to the simian traits of Saiyans that were abandoned in favor of their hair turning yellow for some reason. However, modern Dragon Ball would not follow suit as they introduced Super Saiyan God, which has nothing to do with Saiyan tails, or anything that was previously established for Saiyans for that matter. Then the Universe 6 Saiyans were introduced, and they evolved to not have tails at all, so Uzaru is completely off the table for them. The only point in Super where Saiyan tails make an appearance is in Dragon Ball Super Broly. Paragus and Broly were seen with tails, however Paragus removed Broly's tail because he was too dangerous to have one, and Paragus is killed off by Frieza, so his tail served no purpose in the movie, and tails as a whole have no effect on the events of the modern era of Dragon Ball, as they're shown out of obligation due to Saiyans being established to have them, rather than the tails serving any function in the story again, and Toriyama gets rid of them at the first opportunity. So Toriyama kept true to his word on wanting to get rid of Saiyan tails, as they have long since served their purpose in the story. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Also, like this video and subscribe to my channel, and so that you actually get notified for my videos, be sure to click that notification bell so you can see all my content right away as it comes out. Have a good day everyone, this is Trace, signing out.